we learn the fate of Alex, Jesse, and the rest of the passengers on Flight 462. Plus, basic scavenging tips in the walker apocalypse. Always have a buddy. On this week's episode of AMC's Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 3, Ouroboros. Ouroboros. Alright, spoilers ahead, just so you've been warned. Another really good episode of Fear the Walking Dead this week. I think they're really starting to find their footing and exploring the sort of discovery of the walkers, of what to do, of sort of finding their footing in the new world, literally. Oh, and the title, Ouroboros, in case you didn't know, the Ouroboros is that snake that's eating its own tail. It could be, a sign of someone eating themselves, but it's usually a sign of rebirth and regeneration, which I think a lot of, again, what this episode is about, going from the old world into the new, the consumption of the old world, the rebirth of the new world. And in this episode, we learn the fate of Flight 462. Flight 462 has been popping up. It was a web series that's also had its little bit shown throughout all of last season of The Walking Dead. If you haven't caught any of it, or if you DVR'd everything and accidentally skipped them all with the commercials, you can find them on AMC's website. It's about 14 minutes all told. Really short bit, and basically just tells the story of a walker on a plane and the passengers that having to deal with it. So again, another early section of the apocalypse. And here we get to find their fate. And we find out pretty immediately, part of the crash happened on land, part of the crash happened on water. We have Alex, the girl, rescuing her buddy Jesse, who she met on the plane, who has been heavily injured. And the show starts out with him recovering with a few of the other passengers and trying to survive, make their way in a lifeboat. Now, because Jesse's been seriously injured, many of the other passengers are not, the couple of surviving passengers on the boat, not really trusting that he may not turn at any moment. Alex, not having any of it, threatened Jesse, "You are out." Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the last passenger that she killed who threatened, he's going to turn, you're going to have to take care of him or I will. And there was that little pause. Well, if you look at the shirt, that is the dead body that they find that has been sucked into the water cooling system of the Abigail that Travis has to go and pull out. If you notice the little shirt there. Now, he's not a walker. There is one shot, you can barely see it, that he's got a knife stuck in through his eye. So definitely dead before he hit the water. But this is what Travis is trying to deal with on the Abigail with Strand and everything. Now, I like the idea of body parts being sucked into the cooling system. Very nasty, very gross. But from the looks of it, it looks like it was just his arm. That guy's just missing his arm who is in the water, and that's a lot of gunk and a lot of putrefaction that has happened inside the system, which doesn't really match what was going on in the body. Yes, we can tell that there's maybe a week or so has passed, few days at the very least, that this guy has been floating in the water. So yes, definitely some grossness happening. Whether or not it's that much to cause that sort of black, icky gook that Travis was pulling out of the coolant system, I don't know. That seemed a lot of gunk for just one arm or a part of a body or anything like that. But that's nitpicking. Really, the overall thrust of the episode, I think, was handled really well. What to do when you have in these situations? What's the complications? Travis, luckily, is a very mechanically adept person because Strand certainly isn't. Luckily, Travis is there that actually knows a bit about mechanics and can try and repair the boat, because otherwise Strand would have been up a creek if he was by himself. And this is probably something he needs to start kind of rectifying in his mind, especially as the rest of the episode goes on. So, they're stuck in the water, they are repairing the boat, but they do notice all of the luggage and part of the aircraft crash on the land. So they get the great idea to go scavenging. And they don't see anything. They look through the binoculars. There's nothing else out there. They don't see anybody wandering around, so this does seem like a safe jaunt. And I'm glad that Dan Salazar went with them. You know, there was the little debate. Chris is ready to go, but Chris can't really trust Chris at this point, and obviously for reasons further on. But he is the guy that's been sort of lashing out at his dad and just jumped in the water, you know, 2 episodes ago, where they found the shot up boat. So not always making really smart choices at the moment. So I'm glad a larger group went with him. I'm glad Salazar volunteered to go. And yeah, getting these supplies are important. So they get to the beach, and I know they're supposed to start looking through luggage. And again, this is really just kind of a staging thing, but things like this strike me when I'm watching. They're there to look through luggage, but they walk through a whole section to get up to that first part of the plane without even touching any of the bags. It's like, okay, let's get up in the middle of it, and then we'll spread out in different directions. Small little things, but when I'm watching, I'm like, you're scavenging, you should at least have some of them walking up and some maybe grabbing some of the bags, opening them as a look. It just would have worked a little bit better. But overall, as I said, this is I'm being kind of nitpicky here. But overall, a very well construed episode. Lots of stuff going on and great character development. Chris, again, just wanders off on his own. You know, he's kind of looking for trouble. And in reality, he is looking for walkers to kill. I think that's why he keeps looking for the larger section of the plains. He's trying to challenge himself. And of course, he does eventually find that large chunk of the fuselage, but finds a little bit more than he expected. Not just walkers, but an actual survivor. And here's where he has to do his mercy kill. This guy's 2 injured, backbone sticking out, nice piece of makeup. The makeup jobs, as always, are awesome on this show. But he has to do a little mercy killing, and I think this is somewhere where he can now start to identify with his father a little bit more. You know, it's not something that he wants to do, but this guy's begging him, please, please. He knows that he's dead. He knows he's going to turn into Walker. He knows there's other walkers still stuck in the fuselage behind him. For Chris, I think this was a great character evolution moment. You know, he went in a little kind of too gung-ho of like, I'm going to take care of the walkers, and then now is seeing the sort of reality, the bigger reality of the situation is that sometimes you have to make tough calls because it's the right thing to do. And it was obviously a very difficult moment for him, but I think this is going to allow him to start to bond back with his father. And even when they finally get back to the boat and he walks up, he's just apologetic. I didn't know I was looking. I was. You can see that this is affecting him. And I think this is a good movement because Chris, otherwise I'm thinking he's going to be one of the first to go. This might make him last a little bit longer. Alicia and Nick together. I love the kind of further bonding of their relationships. You know, in the real world, prior to all of this, they were heading in 2 different directions. And with this now, I think Alicia is finding, hey, you know, I like my brother, and my brother likes me. As she says, you know, it's nice to have you around. And his response is, I've always been here. Their little bonding, I think, is great. And she has stepped up too. When the walkers come down, she doesn't really hesitate that long. They get back to that corner of the beach and she reaches and pulls out that whatever object that was, you know, is a piece of wood, an aircraft piece, something, and just starts whacking away. And that's another thing great about the kids together, this little group, is very quickly they are starting to learn how to deal with the walkers, that they have to step up. And I like the fact that they all did. They all stepped up together and were just sort of bonding and fighting them off. And, you know, for a moment you're thinking, man, they might actually get through this, but there's a lot of walkers. You're not going to fight the entire, you know, plane full of dead bodies, plus whatever else walkers might have been in the area. Again, I like the fact that Alicia is stepping up. I like the evolution of her character. Dan Salazar, now, he's still kind of thinking of his own. He said he was going as the chaperone, but he quickly just says, keep an eye on me, be sure you can see it, and then he goes off to look for the meds. He's not trusting. You know, he doesn't want to talk to the rest of the group for the meds, for what they need. He volunteered to go on this trip, to go with the luggage, so that he could search himself for stuff for his daughter. He is still seeing he and Ophelia as one unit, separate from the rest of the group. And this is, I think, again, a little evolution that he's going to have to happen, because as he's looking, down comes Nick, who, again, the perfect survivor of the apocalypse. You know, looks down, sees what he's going, oh, you're doing for Ophelia? Yeah, because of the shoulder injury? Okay, let me take a look. Oh, no, these aren't good. You need the codones and the sins. You know, these are the stuff that you need. I mean, it's kind of perfect, applying his knowledge, again, of pharmaceuticals, of medicines, and those types of things. And very ready to step up and just share. You are part of my group. This is what needs to happen. And that's the great point for Nick. And again, he's already been living in this apocalypse. That's sort of how his life was, is that immediate necessity, living in the moment, that constant threat of survival. Little different, picture for what it was before, but still the same attitude has allowed him to adapt seamlessly into the new world, and really, I think, to help pull everyone along. I think it's important to realize that everybody is still learning how to survive in the apocalypse, and they're still learning things that you have to do and not do. Specifically, when they do first come up onto the beach, and they reach that first chunk of the airplane where Salazar says, okay, everybody spread out, just be sure to keep an eye on me and we're all good. There's a couple of dead bodies on the ground, but nobody thinks to check them. Nobody thinks to go up and do the little stabby in the head and stuff like this, because this is all brand new to them. The dead rising from the grave, is still a whole brand new concept to them. So I like the idea that they're not doing everything perfect right now. They are making mistakes. And if they can stick together and not necessarily wander off, Chris, by themselves, increases their chance of survival. Again, if you're hunting and scavenging, always have a buddy. You don't want to be caught by yourself. For Chris, he's caught in that bad chunky airplane with walkers around, and yeah, he handled himself okay, but still, if that one in the back, while he was worried about the mercy killing, had gotten loose finally, he might have found himself in a bad situation. And then of course there's Nick, who finds Krabby Joe, which was great and gross and awesome, but people don't stand at the edge of a ledge like that you're just asking to fall, which he does. And handles himself well. He's able to pull out the knife that he found in the luggage and stab him in the head. Perfect. Beautiful. I don't think that I would have been trusting enough after the stabbing to let his head fall onto my body, mouth right here, nom, 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 just in case I hadn't totally gotten him. But still, a great sequence, and of course leads up to that big final scene where Alex runs down off of the dunes and is yelling at Salazar, run! And then you see over the edge all that army of walkers coming down. Again, another beautiful shot. The great thing with hills, when you just see the bodies come up and they come on down, it's awesomely done. And they all get caught in that one little corner. And again, everyone's stepping up. Alicia's stepping up to fight. Alex is tackling the guy. Everybody is doing their bit, but they are trapped. They're in a corner until Nick shows up, again, covered in blood, and just wailing through them, opens things up. It was a beautiful, beautiful sequence. And then a great little moment there where he just kind of gets face to face with the one walker that was going after Alicia, just, kind of staring at him and doing the little mocking. Again, as a heroin addict, a little bit of familiarity with zombieism himself in his own kind of way, and kind of facing things off, but discovering, consciously or unconsciously, having all that blood on him, acting like them, great way of disguising. Now, I don't know if he covered himself up initially. Really, the visceral feeling that I got when he showed up with that is he has been hacking his way. He got Krabby Joe, he got the other guy that followed him, and it was just grabbing stuff and hacking his way through walkers to get to Alicia, to get to his family, to get to the group. That is the first impression that I got off of it. I'm going to hold on to that until I know something else, because Nick's my hero. He's the badass of the group. I love him. And I think that was just a great sequence, that it's him, that it's Nick that is coming up and making the big moves and pulling people out and going totally aggro. Again, seamlessly transitioning from the old world into the new world. And just when we may have thought that Alex was all by herself, she does say, hey, we've got a stop to make, as they pull the boat out finally, where they go and get the life raft with Jesse in it, who just looks awful. I mean, his face is burned, he's got hair all in it, just nasty stuff. He's definitely not doing well, and his chances for survival are pretty thin. But you gotta hand it to Alex to holding on to him. You know, this is the one person that she's kind of bonded with, and she is gonna hold on as much as I can, and damn be for anybody that tries to kill him and take him out. So when they get to the boat, and we all think, all right, we're coming on, it's gonna be good, we got somebody new who's joining the crew, Strand just steps up and, no, no, no. Very cruel. I like that Alex is like, you guys are actually debating this? Give me a break. But again, these are all kind of new discoveries. Are people a threat? Actually, I think you need more people, because you gotta have red shirts, right? You gotta have people that are gonna die. If it's a small crew, and somebody close to you is gonna die, you gotta have other bodies that can go and be sacrificed out. I know that's cruel to say. But a bigger group in many ways is going to be a stronger group in the long term. But these are the early stages. People don't really know that. If you are going to throw someone off the boat or try and tow them behind, maybe it's not the best idea to then in front of them say, all right, we're going to Mexico. That was just the weirdest bit. I mean, I know Maddie's little bit with Strand about the trust thing and things like that, they're going to still kind of work that out. It's still a bunch of heads butting in, but I think that she kind of gave in quickly, and why she couldn't respond, hey, we do have a plan, I'll tell you about that later. But in the back of the boat, when Alex pops up, we're going to Mexico, there's a place, it's all safe, gives the whole plan, so that when Strand goes and comes out and chops that line and cuts Alex and Jesse loose, not really a smart choice on his end. I mean, one, they know where he's going, and he may be thinking that he's just dropping them out to sea, but they're still being chased by the pirates, for lack of a better word. The boat with the .50 caliber, the one boat that they've been trying to avoid this whole time. And I don't think this is the last that we've seen of Alex. I think that she's gonna get picked up by this boat, probably tortured, maybe whatever, but there you're gonna have the link of how other people can find out where it is that Strand and them are going. So not really a good choice on Strand's point, and I think it also really is a defining moment for his character, because while they are trying to, while Maddie and Travis and Strand and Sellers, they're trying to build this trust element, seeing him just walk up without listening, without any debate, and cut Alex loose, I think is going to instill that idea that Strand will do whatever he has to do for his own interest, that by that move he has damaged the development of trust that could have possibly developed. So yes, it is Strand's boat, but how much longer it's Strand's boat, I don't know, because unless he starts learning the lessons that he needs to learn, which is you gotta have a group around you, you gotta have a group that you can trust, you gotta have people's backs that you can fall back on, because first of all, you can't fix the boat by yourself. And second of all, shit goes down, you're gonna need bodies around you to help fight by your side. I don't think Strand has done himself a favor by doing this. I think he's put himself actually in a really bad position. So that's it. Great episode. As I said, some good action, some great character development. We got hordes of zombies and we got Nick covered in blood hacking through them. I don't think you could have asked for more. Please press like if you did enjoy this review. Feel free to subscribe. Comment in the section below. I love the comments that I'm having with all of you, and I think I'm going to start bringing up some of those in the reviews as well. Maybe answer some of the questions right up here if we've got any of that. Continue the dialogue. I really do appreciate all of you guys with your chats, and it does mean a lot to me. Also, quick little question for you all. Some of these reviews have gotten a little longer than I really intended to, up to about 20 minutes or so. I was trying to keep them a little shorter, But I'm not sure. Do you guys like the longer form reviews where we're really talking and going into individual moments? Or do you like more of a quick kind of boom, this was cool, boom, this was cool, and let's move on a little bit shorter? Let me know. Let me know what you think. I can adjust all this stuff. You guys are watching it. I want to give you guys something fun to watch. So let me know. You can write that in the comments in the section below. You can also tweet me. I'm at Darren Jakes. And that's it. More stuff happening next week. Looks like they're hitting the Mexico border. That's going to look a little scary, how they're going to get across that. Plus, is that the last we've seen of Alex? Or as I thought, is she going to get picked up and sort of reappear? Maybe not in the way that we all wanted it to. Gonna have to wait and see. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'm D, and I am out of here. Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.